Hi, I'm Misa, the writer and Time Lord of Ace Galaksi, and I'm gathered here in separate locations. Ah, shit, let me start again.
So we're keeping
Now you're
that.
thinking about it. You're stepping with your right foot and your right arm are moving at the same time. Then it's your left foot and your left arm at the same time. You're starting to walk.
Be
Stop
quiet.
talking.
Misa, I'm feeling your pain because I've been, like I told you, I've been doing these voiceovers for work for close to 2 months now. And I just listen to myself talk all bloody day. And then the funny thing is, I'll do a take and everything's perfectly fine. But I listen back to it and I go, oh, I said that word funny. And then I'll go to try to redo it. Do I not completely fuck it all up?
Yeah,
Okay, Martin, we're not going to fuck it all up. I know I'm ready.
but you got to
All
save
right.
that first part.
I shall. That's how we're starting it. Anyway, time is broken. Planets are dying before they are born. Pizzas are being eaten before they're delivered. Nothing makes sense anymore. Ace is called in to figure out where the problem is and fix time. Hi, I'm Misa, writer and Time Lord of Ace Galaksi, and I'm gathered here in separate locations with the cast of Ace, or most of the cast, to talk about the last season, fixing the timeline and how the timeline got broke. We meant to do this after we wrapped up the season, but we got distracted by Halloween. Then we got distracted by Christmas. And now here we are preparing to record the next season and got distracted by this unfinished business. So, in no particular order, please introduce yourselves.
I'm Martin Beyond. I'm a director, and I also play do the voice of Ace and a couple of other characters that we'll meet this season.
My name is Lisa. I do the voice of Phoenix and the receptionist and Milo and a couple little bits and baubles here, and a few more voices as well through the new season.
Steph?
Steph, I play Dee, or in other words, myself. Hello.
And editor-in-chief over there.
Hi, I'm Marlo. I play the editor of the giant book of destiny.
She doesn't have to do much playing, though.
No, she kicks her asses every day.
And now we get into JC's long list of characters he plays
All
in this
right.
season.
All right. I'm just gonna sit back and
Got
wait.
I'm JC Paquette. I just got a lot of voices. So I'm Milo. No, I'm not. You come up with a list. There's Captain Petal Serp, and then there's Milford, and then there's an invisible guy with a laugh, and then there's all kinds of stuff. You'll see.
No, they did see. It's over.
Well, if you haven't heard the previous season, then you will see, and you should go back and listen to it.
And there will be spoilers.
Yeah.
If you haven't.
And
we'll talk about. I was just telling these guys today too that I just went through and listened to the entire season from start to finish, binged them all today, and it was a lot of fun to listen back to it again to get to remind myself of A, what happened, and B, how everything sort of fits. And when you listen to when you binge it, everything fits. Things that happen in episode 6 go all the way back to what happened in episode 1, and it was a lot of fun to listen to that way. So I do recommend that.
Well, that's called good writing. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Oh, so that's what it meant. I totally finally get it. Also, I wanted to say that a couple of people are not here. Nishant Vermani, who played the copy aide, has left the show. He has other engagements. And Talia Zalowski, who plays fact checker Fran, is on hiatus for personal reasons. And Dave Cooey, who plays the bartender, I think he went to a bar. I don't know. He's also had previous engagements.
He clearly couldn't be bothered.
He told us he had other engagements, but really, I'm sure he's just partying it up. Hopefully, yeah. COVID friendly.
I'm sure it's very friendly. Wherever he is, I'm sure he's being very friendly. Yes. So we just wanted to talk about the process of the show and what our favorite parts were, and what we hated. Did you hate anything?
Oh, ouch. Wow.
You know what I thought was fun
This
is when we go
podcast
right
made-
back to the very first. We go right back to the very first episode, and one of the first jokes that we make is a dick joke right off the bat.
Oh my God. So I had a friend who was starting to listen to it. She was on break from university, and she says, I'm listening to your podcast, and so far I've heard 3 dick jokes in a row, and I'm hooked.
Episode 1, all dick jokes and octopussies.
That's how we roll, man.
Yeah. Well, is it because we were running off the previous show, which was the Space Dick at Large? I mean, we had a standard to keep, so
We
that's
had to
how-
keep that standard nice and low.
That's right. We set the bar low, and we had to go lower.
And right off the bat, too, in the very first episode, we got to meet some fun little characters, too. We got to meet the receptionist in episode 1, who, I mean, let's face it, that was a labor of love, I think, for Lisa, eh?
Oh yeah. The receptionist probably is one of my favorite characters in terms of just fun, totally out there, just have fun with it characters. And I mean, when you listen to her, you know she's one of those characters who like has these big fancy glasses, long nails that have been manicured, that you can barely type with. And yeah, that was just so much fun. And getting to do those scenes with Marlo, especially since it was just the 2 of us in the recording booth for those 2 scenes that I guess both of us were in together. It was just hilarious because we were just yelling at each other.
That was really fun.
Yeah,
A lot of fun.
I remember when when I was directing and we were rehearsing that episode. I always loved the gag of a scream causing somebody else to scream, and we did that right in episode 1, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember the reason why it makes me laugh is I remember when my son was really young, he got really mad about something, and my wife and I were in the bedroom, and and we were going to bed, and he was angry, so he came into the room and screamed at the top of his lungs out of anger, and I remember we all just screamed back, and that scream that he gave us caused us to scream. Our scream caused him to scream back. And we screamed, and we just sat there laughing and laughing and laughing. And that was the inspiration for that whole bit to make that happen.
Even though we
I
had to
love that
record
gag.
it so many times because we
Oh,
kept
a
spiking
million.
the mics.
A million times.
Yeah,
And we
that
got
sounds
to
like
meet-
dinner at my house.
And we got to meet Sylvie 18Z exclamation point 4K. Misa, where the
Yes.
hell did that come from?
The
She usually just
Like
drops,
the last name.
drops her hand on the keyboard and see what happens.
That's right.
That was around the time you got the cats and they walked over the keyboard and you're like, yeah, we'll keep it.
I think that's probably what happened. Yeah.
Actually, you saying 18, that would be interesting if their last name changes every time they grow, they like 19Z exclamation. So that was totally on purpose, folks. That was like totally just to show the age of the being.
We mentioned too that they reach a certain age and then they go to work, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It-
at
it was-
18.
At
At
18.
18.
Yeah.
At 18.
So
Well, I
so
guess
it
it was
wasn't-
subliminal then. Yes.
So it
was
wasn't
totally
on
planned.
purpose.
It,
It wasn't on purpose. It was wow.
Your mind
I
just
thought it
kind of
was-
going
I
like
actually
this
thought
would
it
be
was-
so clever.
I actually
We're
thought
just
it
going to
was
make her
on
write
purpose.
it.
no, I think so much of writing, you don't even realize what you're doing until it's on the page staring back at you, and then like it's like watching the whole season. And you go, oh wow.
So, Misa, did you know what you were going to do with the season even before you sat down to write it? Did we know that we were going to play with the whole time paradox?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. The whole season, it came from the idea about time is broken, and Ace has to fix it. That's
Yeah.
I recently
Because-
watched Marvel's Endgame, and it totally messes with that. And I love the line. I think there's a line in Endgame where somebody says, "You mean Back to the Future got it all wrong?"
Yeah. Yes.
I
Yes.
think Fran really sets it up when she says, "If time is, if time really is broken, that means the past might happen after the future, and the future before the past." That's pretty much our plot device right off the bat, and she says it really, really early on. And the interesting thing too in this episode is, once again, our copy aide really is the only one who seems to understand the gravity of the entire situation, and the editor is more concerned about someone who will bring her coffee.
Well, yeah,
Priorities, man.
she doesn't have to. She doesn't have to
Well,
concern herself with the minutia.
it's
Oh.
sort of what Misa said at the very beginning of this, where she said like pizzas will get eaten before they're delivered. And I would just like to say that I don't recall us ever mentioning that in the episode. So I'm now concerned about this pizza problem, and I think we should address it.
The thing is, they got eaten, and so there
And
was
I don't
no point
appreciate that.
feeding them up.
We need to order more pizzas. What is what you're saying?
I was going to test this theory and continuously order pizzas for the rest of my life.
There is something more to that, is the fact that time is relative and moves forward at a
Right.
relative rate. Therefore, we can't time travel forward because it never happened.
Yeah.
Right, right.
That's all. That, but that all may be so, possibly, but from our perspective, since there is no such thing as time, we've got time as a whole, and that's that's a whole other theory, that time is a whole thing, all done, beginning, middle, and end. So it's not a question of traveling anywhere, it's done. So it's just a matter of where you pop in, so that's how the whole premise of Destiny works.
So does that sort of lead up to the AIDS line? If time really is broken, maybe the problem isn't where we're sending the message, but when.
Yes,
Yeah,
kind of, yeah.
he pretty much sets that up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This is there's a whole other thing that's going on in my head. Is
dear.
time the same as you stand on if you stand on the planet Earth and I'm on the moon, is time the same? I would
I'm
love
pretty
to
sure
hear
it's-
that discussion, because the farther away you go from Earth, is Earth time different from
Well,
me being on traveling 1,000 light years away from the planet? Is the time different? So if it's
All relative, JC.
Well, I think the editor-in-chief says it best when she says, "Time is a paradox."
And she
time
says
is,
it
well,
again.
especially since time is a human creation. The
Yes.
idea, the clock that we have, it's all just created for us to kind of make sense of things.
Mhm.
And in that episode, just when we thought, Ace had solved the problem, we've got our our cliffhanger for that episode, which takes us right into the next episode, where we get to meet my absolute favorite character in all of this season, Milliford the Millipede.
He's my favorite too.
Such a horn dog, that one.
Oh my God. You know what? And as I was listening to it today again, I was like, there's a lot of people playing on both sides of playing for both teams here. We got the aide, we've got Milliford. It's hilarious. JC, you had such a good time with this.
Oh yeah.
Is there
Use the space in the room. Just use the space in the room.
how many times did I tell you, just like fill the room as big as you possibly can?
My favorite part about Milford was that he always stomped out of every scene. He had to make a grand exit with a thousand footsteps.
For sure, for sure. Later on in the season, he's got that big blow up where he walks out of the room, and I'll never forget the day that we recorded that, because I always said I want him to literally leave the room, and we recorded that entire season except for the last two episodes, kind of in one room, and just to watch him storm out was I don't know how we all kept a straight face during
We
that.
were, well, the thing is that the last time he did that, we were all in the other room. So it was just him in the recording booth, if I remember correctly. And so
Yeah.
you recorded a couple times and we were dying in there.
Oh, just
Yeah.
killing ourselves laughing. That's absolutely one of my
That was
absolute favorites.
one of the last nights before COVID, wasn't it? Before March
Yes, it
Yeah,
was.
15th?
it was one of the last nights before COVID, and then we got kicked
Yeah.
out for.
Well, that was what the interesting, if you listen like Martin did to all the episodes in together in line, you'll hear the first two episodes sound the same, and
Yes.
then 3 and 4 sound the same but different from 1 and 2, and then 5 and 6 sound the same but they're different from 3 and 4 and 1 and 2.
Yeah. 5 and 6 are completely different because that was when we were all socially separated. We were all in all those different rooms in the studio. Remember? I mean,
Mhm.
Lisa and I were 6 feet apart up in literally the garage.
In the garage.
Yeah. And I don't know. I honestly don't know where the rest of you people were.
Yeah.
I
I think
just
one
knew
was, I
that.
think,
Little tiny cubby holes in the studio.
Yeah. Where did they have you, Marlo?
I was in the little room with the window into the control booth.
She had
Oh,
the
the
other,
big
the
yeah.
recording
smaller
booth.
recording. Yeah.
Yeah. The ones
And
where I recorded the extras.
Yeah. And I
Yes,
think
that's
Nishant
right.
was in another small room just next to
Yeah.
the larger room.
Mhm.
And where were you,
Most of us
Stephanie, for
got to
that?
be together.
Steph
it
was
again?
kind of almost in the middle of the room.
Yeah,
In
and
that,
Talia was
oh,
behind
okay.
me, and Dave was
Yeah,
kind of beside
kind of
JC.
facing Talia, and I was kind of facing Dave. And Steph and I were supposed to have our backs to each other, sort of almost
Yeah.
shoulder to shoulder, but 6 feet apart.
And you really do notice the difference in the sound
Yeah.
from that. And you know what? Interestingly enough, as we went along forward in the season, um, I originally wanted us all in the same room, and I was adamant about that. But looking back upon it at it now, I'm not so sure that was the best decision because it sounded tinny and weird. Once we got honestly into our separate mics and everything, it was easier to regulate, I think,
Yeah.
from a sound perspective. So
I think
that's
we had
definitely
went in there with the attitude that we were trying to do the surround sound deal,
that's what I
Mhm.
was trying to get at. Yeah,
and I think we were a little too far from the microphones itself.
yeah. And I wanted that sense of being on stage with people,
Yeah.
instead. I really wanted that feeling of acting with people, and I think it did it. But now we have the ability to achieve that without being in the room because we've gotten so comfortable with each other.
Mhm.
I have to say
And
the 5 and 6 were kind of, I think, my my most favorite episodes to record, even though we had to be apart from each other. That day was a lot of fun.
yeah, it
And
was,
I mean, it was early. It was just and I say early days. It was months after COVID had shut everything down. But I think everybody just needed to be around people too.
I think
Yeah.
that was it. We got
Yeah.
to at least see each other in person, sort of
yeah.
separate.
That was the night we discovered that JC was moving down east.
That's
Yeah.
right. I
It was
made notice.
heartbreaking.
By the way, everybody, I'm in New Brunswick.
Woohoo!
What?
That's where my people are from. The Biottsol, the PEI, New Brunswick area.
Yeah.
This episode, we got to meet Milo. Milo, the deli owner. I love the fact that Milo is this wonderfully ambiguous character. What was the inspiration for that one, Lisa? Anything that really stuck out, or you just thought I need to do some kind of crazy voice?
I need to do something different than my regular voice. I was told Milo was a man. We'd come to the agreement that Milo was a man. So I was going like, okay, gotta lower the voice. That's fine. I've played men before. And it was just every time I think deli, I think Italian.
Yeah,
And
we went
so
Italian at first.
yeah, and so but we also and kind of Italian New York sort of thing, but I didn't want him to be too close to the receptionist. I mean, I felt bad that I was doing this basically the same accent for two characters, but that was just all that I could really hold on to. I thought Italian. So I had to try and make him as different as I could from the receptionist. And
It really was though, because you had the reception, it was very Bronxy, and then you had the New York Italian for Milo. Hey you, hey, Joey from Friends, kind of. Hey, how you doing?
doing?
Right? Even right down to the word sandwich.
That was cute.
Right down to sandwich.
Well, that was a good call from you. Going like, say sandwich. And I'm like,
Say sandwich. And so basically what happened in this episode is somebody wrote the perfect moment, which is forbidden at Destiny, according to one of the many thousands of signs over above the editor's desk.
I have a list of signs over the editor's desk.
You know what?
you actually have made a list?
I have made a list, yes.
You know what would be hilarious is to have a recording of Marlo reading every single one of those signs.
It's an ever expanding list. Yeah. Maybe one
And
day. we should do
whatever
that.
poor artist has to draw that office in the future.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Tragedy.
Especially where she says the sign above my desk for every sign. So every sign has to be above her desk.
Yeah.
And she pretty much is the crux of the entire problem that we have too, is she says that if perfection is achieved, there's nowhere else to go. Perfection would be the final page of the book.
Mhm.
And that is our cliffhanger for episode number 2, right? And that pushes us forward into what happens. Now we've got the problem. Now we have to solve the problem. Which takes us up to episode number 10, where Ace's gang sets off to ruin the perfect moment to fix the timeline.
Or episode
10,
3
which-
for those who are keeping
Episode
track.
3, yeah. It's episode 10 in the timeline, but episode 3 for the season.
Yeah.
Those spit
Yeah.
takes. I was listening back, and those spit takes, they're
As we all, before we got to yours, we all were all in the room doing different spits to see if we can get the right noise.
So
Yeah.
ultimately, who was it? Was it mine that
It's
we ended
you.
up using? It was mine we ended up using. I couldn't remember.
How can
but
you
I
tell
go-
who was spitting? How can you tell whose spit we chose?
Because I can tell.
I
can
know
tell
how
my own.
Martin spits.
Oh,
I don't know. You want this to go there? You want this to
do.
go there?
I do. I want to know how you know how the sound of Martin spitting.
It was hilarious that we
Hearing
kept
him
trying
try
all
to
these.
pronounce words.
Okay, so that reminds me of I had no problem saying cephalopodic conundrum,
Oh,
but I
now
could
you
not
don't
get
have
the
a
word
problem.
circuitous. I know cephalopodic conundrum was not a problem. My problem was the damn word circuitous.
Because
Yeah.
cephalopodic conundrum has sort of a rhythm to it.
Yeah, but I couldn't get circuitous for the life of me. I think we took like 55 takes of me trying to say circuitous.
Sadly, when we were recording, Mark was deleting everything. Whenever we
Yeah.
made a mistake, he was just deleting it. So we don't have all of those excellent flubs.
Yeah, yeah.
All the great outtakes from episodes 1 to 4.
But we do have them for 5 and 6.
5 and
but-
6,
But
yeah.
we don't have them. Want to hear them? Would you like to hear the outtakes from
Yes.
episodes? Hold on. Let me.
Is this the one where we're trying to get Nishan to sneeze?
There's definitely some of that on there.
You know what?
my
I don't
goodness.
think I kept that one. Here's what I kept.
Okay, so viewers, you get something special, or listeners.
Why isn't it playing?
Put it in post.
I had asshole before that.
Oh, here.
Anything you choose doesn't mean you should transform into a cough, and then I say asshole, right?
Oh, so I'm not saying not the smell.
Yeah, but
After I say asshole.
After asshole.
Yeah.
Oh, and the last horse crossed the finish line.
Hey, shark stuff. I see you like hot things. Come over here and I will set your world on fire. Hey, shark stuff. I see you like hot things. Come over here and I will set your world on fire. Hey, shark stuff. I see you like hot things. Come over here and I will set your world on fire. Better? Is it too sexy?
No, it was great. Boy, am I glad I'm in this room with you.
How do you want it?
Correctly.
More better, less suck.
Yeah, let's see.
Better.
Like an actor.
It's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. And I once cleaned up the aftermath of 2 space drag racers playing chicken, and neither ship.
Shakespeare.
Introducing a new organism into a system to fix a current problem?
Said orgasm.
I said orgasm?
Yes.
It doesn't matter.
Dave! Wait, did I really?
Yes. I heard orgasm.
I mean, hello, Mr. Freud.
Technically, since this place exists in the pocket of no time, every day is endless.
Yeah, like conversations with you. No.
Oh, you tried to hurt me. You want me to do it again?
Yeah, can you help set him up a little bit?
Yes.
Not
I sup-
mischievous at all.
Not my job.
Oops.
And now we have a musical interlude.
Shiny, happy people. Is that the end of it?
Yeah.
Okay, so Stephanie, for posterity, can you give us that line again?
Come on.
Honestly,
on.
out of the entire show so far, it was any time it came up in the script and said any noise, and then the feedback I got every single time was make noise better, make it better. And then that damn chicken happened. And oh my God, I don't think I've turned so red in my life. Sitting there in the studio and everybody's like, that's your chicken. I can bacaw better than you.
Oh, that was so much fun.
I think
So going back to the plot, so they get to Deneby, and of course nothing is there. But suddenly they come upon my second favorite character in the entire series, also played by JC, Captain Pedalserp. All right, don't you just love this guy? How can you not love Captain Pedalserp?
My favorite thing is Captain Pedalserp and Phoenix.
Oh, for
And
sure.
they're together.
For
Like I literally
sure.
want to start crying every time. Like you start to give me the Phoenix little pet names and stuff, and I'm going,
Yeah.
like, oh my God, you're so cute.
And there's a wonderful line that you have, Lisa. I love the discovery that you suddenly realize that you have feelings where you say, I am really pause, glad to see Pedalserp. I thought that was really really nice little moment, and it set for me. I don't know about the rest of you guys, but it seemed to me that was the beginning of the full emotion for Phoenix. That's the moment that she realizes and is taken by surprise that she has that feeling. Which
You remember
is,
that was like the first scene we rehearsed, wasn't it? When you came, Martin, and
Yeah, I think
we
so.
started rehearsing, and
Yeah.
because like most of the cast wasn't available on the very like the early rehearsals. That was one of the very first things we rehearsed, and like we found it right away
Yeah.
and circled back to it a couple of times.
Because remember in rehearsal, we had those rehearsals where I had only one person for the night.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And we focused on getting, the through line for each of the characters,
Mm-hmm.
which, and that was honestly, yeah, one of my, there's two moments, particularly in that season that really stick out for me. And that's one of them. And there's another one later on that we'll get to very soon. In this episode, we get to meet, yeah, go ahead, Lisa.
Oh, I was just going
You're
to
about to
say that if you do like when again listening to all the episodes all together in a row, you do pick up because especially that night when we worked on that, kind of just the three of us, we found places in each episode to build on that, on her I guess emotion subroutines, if you want to call it that.
Yes,
On
we
her on her building and becoming more, I would say, quote unquote human, but yeah.
And that and the good thing about
notice it.
In this episode, we get to meet one of my favorite characters that I got to play was the Collector.
That was super fun.
That was, and the funny
Have
thing
a fun
about that,
character.
it was a lot of fun for me to do because it allowed me to break away from from Ace that sort of straight laced, always got in questions and just to really break out and have fun. And I know that when Misa first wrote it, she was thinking of, this Italian heavy, but
There was just too much Italian happening.
we had already had the Italian. So I thought, I'm going to go Cockney with this craziness. And it was kind of funny because the words just seemed to fit, and I honestly, it was the most fun I had. It was kind of fun to harken back to my love for Monty Python, because especially, if you do it this way, then you go, I can get you a deal. That was a tremendous amount of fun for me.
That was one of my favorite things. Like when, we would do just an initial read of a script and I would be like, oh God, it gets just like when it's just so fresh and I think, well, I don't know what am I thinking? This is too hard. And then as you guys took it and created these characters and then I was like, oh God, that's so good. They brought it to life and they took it in places that I had never expected it to go. And like way more interesting than whatever happened in my head. And it was amazing.
And remember, we
Watching the
did that with Sylvie, 1XZ exclamation 4K too. I mean, we spent a lot of time with them, Arlo. You remember that? But we spent, gosh, a long time just trying to, sometimes with these characters, it takes us a while to find them. I mean, you're not always going to find them right away. And I know that we struggled for a while with Sylvie. We were trying to just find the right Sylvie, and by God,
it did take a while.
It took a while, yeah. And what did you draw on for that character? Anything at all?
Do you know, it's so long ago now. I'm not even sure. I was just looking like she had to be young, she had to be, but not stupid, because she was explaining things to other people. So anyways, I just
did we have the receptionist at that point?
Sorry?
Did we have the receptionist at that point?
I think Lisa was the receptionist at that point.
Yeah, it had already happened.
We were making comparisons, and you were scared of the receptionist and started squeaking and went, oh, there it is.
Oh, and remember, you kept falling into the same accent.
Oh, I remember that. I mean, that's one of my the things I have the most trouble with is listening to an accent and not doing it.
Yeah,
I do the exact same thing.
It's hard not to, eh?
So yeah, remember we kept Marlo, you're you're sounding like the receptionist.
Yeah, it was hilarious.
Did you have an inspiration for the editor?
Me.
I already said that every time I heard the editor speak, the only voice I ever heard was Marlo, so I made sure.
Yeah, JC recommended. Yeah.
You didn't tell me that until very recently.
And it's absolutely.
And apparently you did Peter Pan with Martin too.
Oh, stop that.
Yep.
What? Martin was in my Peter Pan?
Yep.
But the funny thing is how many, I don't know how many times that I said to you, just, in just conversation, when I thought of the editor of the Giant Book of Destiny, when the first time I heard you do it, I was like, yes, it is. It's like a really good fitting suit.
Then my work here is done.
Exactly. Especially on the intro. The intro is beautiful. For me, the giant.
Oh my God, we did that. We were like a day from when we were going to release the crazy thing, and we didn't have an intro. So I went over to Marlo's house with the microphone, because she didn't have a microphone at the time, and I stood outside. And she was inside with the microphone, and she would open the window and she would play the thing, and I go, oh,
the window behind me.
The window behind. Can you do it again? A little more. I don't know what we stood outside for like an hour, opening the window, closing the window, opening the window, closing the window. I mean, after we spent an hour trying to figure out how to get the microphone to work.
Oh, that took a while. Oh no, it wasn't
just
the
commitment.
microphone. It was the program, how we were going to record on the computer.
Right. Right.
And correct me
was-
if I'm wrong. We brought Dee back this season.
Yeah.
So Dee's been there since day one, eh?
Well, Phoenix and
character.
Dee started it on. Phoenix was in the original series. Dee
But, like,
wasn't.
for like
So-
all of
Yeah.
the split seconds, Phoenix was just taking off at the very end of the first season.
That's right too. Yeah.
And then Dee
Yeah.
came in the next one in the live show. We
And that's when Stephanie joined us, right? At the live show. Yeah. So Stephanie, let Dee. You know what? It's kind of interesting that Dee is a real fan favorite. People love Dee. It's got to be something about the I don't know, the impetuous nature of Dee that people really gravitate towards. Is that what's your take on Dee? How did that come about for you?
Which part? How it came about?
Just the character in general, like everything, the story arc.
Well, first it was written by Misa, and then I don't know, it was kind of just I mean, for in my life, it was kind of a turning point. It was like the inciting incident of my adulthood, I think, in my acting career, air quotes, is because when I started, like when the very first time we all got together at Misa's place for the first ever rehearsal, for me anyway, it was like I was just like super timid and like really shy, couldn't talk to anybody, and I had this like explosive character. And as I learned about her, I learned more about myself, I think, and it's kind of, or I just became a ticking time bomb. I don't know, but it kind of just, compiled, and all of a sudden I had this character, and knew me, and it really just got out of control, I think.
And you worked really, really hard to give us, the Dee that we've all come to know and love and hate at the same time.
I think a lot of it had to do with the amazing actors that I got to work with, because a lot of it was me feeling like, oh, but I'm shy and doing this and this and this. And then I had a lot of scenes where it was just back and forth with either Lisa or Talia, and I would build off of their energy and kind of learn how to find that myself.
I loved
Absolutely.
those scenes
guys
with Dee and Talia when you guys were in the vent.
Oh, it's fantastic. Yeah.
Those were some of my favorite scenes.
Yeah. So to harken back on where we were going with this episode, Ace lands on Deneby, and we meet, of course, Meister Clockmaker Talktick. I don't know about you, but I think I said TikTok 8 million times in rehearsal instead of Talktick.
At one point, I was surprised that his name was Talktick. I was like, what are they saying? Look at your freaking script.
Well, it wasn't really until I listened back at it that I realized how much like Christopher Lloyd Nishan sounded. That sort of thing going on there.
Really?
And you know what?
Great Scott!
At the time, I didn't really even think about it. And now when I listen back, I went, oh my God, it sounds like Jim so much.
Yeah.
But what a fun
I'm going to go off on a tangent here and say I definitely got a Back to the Future Playmobil toy set for Christmas.
Nice.
Because I'm just such a nerd.
Of course you did.
It's behind me. You can't see it right now. It's behind me with my full Ghostbusters Playmobil with the firehouse and everything Playmobil set.
You're my hero.
The original Ghostbusters or the remake?
Oh, original.
Thank you.
Of course.
In this episode, Ace goes, they have a plan to fix the problem by using an alarm clock, which is, pretty simple thing to do. It's a simple plan. They're going to go back and fix the problem by, refresh my memory exactly. How does it work, Misa?
They were going to go, because they were traveling through time and space, the alarm clock was going to ring when they reached the planet at the right date. And in time, I think.
Yeah, it was supposed to wake him. It was supposed to wake him up.
They knew how to get to the planet. Get to the planet, but they couldn't get to the planet at the right time. So that's what the alarm clock was for, to get them at the right time because they're unstuck from time. Time is broken.
Yeah. And then Ace gets there. And of course, the beauty of that perfect world, he can't handle it. And then he, just like the writers, become comatose, which harkens back to earlier episode where the writers were all comatose. Plague and devastation, remember?
Speaking of writers, having Misa with her special guest spot, deranged writer.
Oh. Episode 2, you mean?
For those who didn't know, so Misa, who is the creator and writer of Ace, she was very prominent in our very first season as Yasmin Stanislavski. And then she came back for a guest spot, and I guess it was episode 2.
Episode 2, yeah.
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 And I think that was Martin's idea, where we were trying to figure out who's going to play the writer, and then
No, I
Martin kinda
think
goes like, how about
we
the
had
writer
cast
of the
somebody
show?
else. We had cast Marlo.
Yeah.
And I said, no, it's going to be me. I'm the writer of this thing.
I'm not sure I forgive you for that.
And I think Marlo's never forgiven me. You know what? I can't, like, I write these things and I'm like, I don't know how they're going to pull this off. I can't do 90% of them. Like, I can do a writer who's, having a heart attack, because that's my life. But the majority of what's on those pages, I can't even come close. And I'm like, okay, well, good luck to them. And then they do it.
It comes alive.
Comes alive.
Now, our next episode, we got to meet the space shark.
Yeah.
We've got to meet the Workmen 1 and 2. Neither of them are here tonight.
Oh, that's one of my favorite scenes.
Holy
those two.
cow, that was
Oh my god, that
Pedal
was
surf?
so hilarious.
They were
hilarious.
so cute.
And one of my favorite gags, you know what, as a director, I pull out every cheesy gag in the book sometimes. And if I can use it, by God, I'm going to try to fit it in there. And there's nothing that makes me laugh more than two people laugh so hard they get into a choking fit. I just find that funny for some reason. It's one of those things. And I love another gag that we do later on is where we have the editor-in-chief and the copy aide laugh hilariously. And then, of course, both end up with the, I just love those gags.
We rehearsed that a bunch of times.
Oh, I know we did.
Yeah.
It was so much fun. And there was one point where I actually heard Talia snort.
I loved Talia's idiosyncrasies throughout the entire season, even as a fan. Like, every time she had just to do this, usually a noise.
I loved her noise. I loved those noises.
When she goes, like, she would say a line and then she goes, ooh. It would just be and I can't even do it. I don't think any of us can, because it's just so unique to Talia. And and you would just see me go like this, like I'd have to have everybody be quiet just so I could hear that ooh, because I knew how much I loved how she just said certain things.
Yeah. Wow. That's good.
Yeah.
And in this episode too, we kind of get more of the relationship between Ace and Phoenix and D as well, because it starts to get a little emotional. We have Phoenix and D that have to make the ultimate sacrifice in order to save the problem,
which is one of them is super
D's
excited
happy
about
spot.
Yeah, one of them is super excited about it, the other one not so much. But it was really nice to have those moments, especially the moment with Ace and Phoenix. That relationship, we've been following it for a while, and we know there's an admiration there on either side. So it was kind of neat to see the sort of, again, the emotion. I put that in quotation marks with my hands, but you can't see it. That came across in that particular scene about her not wanting to leave. And same with the father too. She talks about not wanting to leave Captain Petalsurp earlier on because she would never see her father again.
It's interesting how mortality seems to become more important to Phoenix.
She's living with a ticking time bomb.
And like it never really occurred to her before, and then it just starts to kind of kick in that she has so much more quote unquote life to live.
I think that's it. As she's evolving and she's becoming, she's always sentient, but as she's recognizing her emotions more, you know, the fact that it could all end is actually weighing on her.
Exactly.
And,
And the funny
and
thing
she's
is,
come close to it so many times.
so many times. That's all Dee wants to do the entire season is blow up, and everything else just gets in the damned way.
But she also wants to do it right. I'm not sure if you want to kind of pipe in here, Steph, but it's like she has to make sure it's not only she get to explode, but it has to be the most spectacular, momentous explosion. It's like she doesn't want to waste her one big moment.
No, that's entirely 100% it, is that she has one purpose, just like one thing she has to do ever, and it's gonna happen right. And her one obstacle, which I think is really cool because it really just brings out the depth of this seemingly shallow kind of character, is that her biggest obstacle is that she cares so much about Phoenix, and Phoenix doesn't want to explode. So as much as she's like, I want to do it, you see that kind of sister bonding all the time.
Because you could just explode at any time you want, but there's something about the relationship between the two of them that you somehow just still kind of go like, okay, fine, I won't explode if you say so, type of thing. But you really could do it at any time.
Although I did pinky swear back in the first episode of the original first episode, not of the season. So
sorry, say that part again.
What? I pinky swore to not on the stage version.
Oh yeah.
That's an unbreakable.
And yeah, you like an unbreakable thing. You cannot. You have to honor the pinky swear when we did the live show.
So is episode 5 where we meet the invisible dude, or is that that's episode 6?
The invisible dude is in episode 5. The space shark is in episode 6.
I mean, the space shark is there, but he doesn't talk till episode 6.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Crazy words. Yeah, the space shark, that was so much fun. The giant kind of baby.
Nishant was so cute as that.
It was very like Pee Wee Herman-esque.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was so much fun. And I didn't make any notes on this episode. So what? Take me through this one real quick.
What happened? What did we do?
Yeah, remind me again.
So he was just born, and he didn't realize that that he was doing anything wrong, and so he didn't understand why they wanted to come and destroy him, because all he was doing was minding his business, suckling on planets. That's what he was written to do.
Right.
Eating, and he didn't realize it was him eating was killing people.
Yeah.
And then he didn't want to, and then he just felt like, what was the point of this existence? It is so horrible.
Because earlier on in this
wholesome.
early on, we thought it was Fran's fault that everything had happened, because she had been doing her Fran fiction, and she was in that. We go back to the first episode again, where she was in the stairwell with Dee, and Dee opened the window, and of course the pages from her Fran fiction got messed up with the giant book of destiny, which she believed was the cause of the whole mess up, right?
It was one of the causes. That's what disrupted the timeline. And then this invisible writer took advantage of the chaos and wrote in the space shark.
Yeah, and because he was a big fan of Fran fiction.
Wasn't Dee hot for the invisible guy for a second?
I feel your pain, brother. Hey, you single? There's a lot of beings hitting on other beings in this show.
Yeah, it's a free for all over there at Destiny.
Right? Yeah, especially with Milliford, who we get to see. So who we get to see in our next season, of course, we got the return of Milliford. We have Dee, we've got Phoenix, we've got Ace, we've got the editor of the giant book of destiny. And For those of you that are about to listen to season 6, guys, you're in for a real treat when it comes to the editor, because
Season 5, season
Season
6.
season 4.
season 4.
Where are we?
Where are we?
I
4.
What day is this?
let's just say that the editor at the giant book of destiny gets to sprout her wings and find so many levels of acting. It should
gonna
be
be so
super fun
awesome.
for you, eh, Marlo?
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
Oh God, you're doing the receptionist again.
And the receptionist comes back,
Yeah, jeez.
as
Love
well
her.
as a cast of many other characters that will be brand new in this season.
And it's going to hit on some good topics too. Some
Yes,
good
it's very
Yeah.
exciting.
Yeah, we've had a lot of discussions about what happens with the season, and honestly, it's been just a wonderful effort by everybody, piping in with some fantastic ideas, and I'm looking really forward to this season. I think honestly, I think it's our best one yet.
Protesting the future.
Testing the future,
And of
super
course we're always
fun.
going to have those little one-offs too. Like we have like the same for the Halloween and Christmas episodes. There's all those
Yeah.
little one-offs that are going to happen. Kind
Yeah.
of sprinkle in
Those
too.
were so much fun. The Halloween episode and the Christmas episode. No, I know with the Halloween episode that was on a concept by you, right, Lisa?
Myself and Talia.
Yeah, the original concept for that.
Yeah.
She giggles.
it was I love it. I'm just laughing so hard because I'm still remembering that first time we rehearsed it, and that was the first time I got to see the full script, because Tully and I just got together a few times to come up with a story, and we sent the story to Misa for her to actually write the script, and then we all got together to read it, and we're like, this is what I wrote. But the concept was exactly what the idea was, but I was just so shocked with some of the things I was saying.
And that was a lot of fun, that episode. And I was saying, and I've said this a ton of times, when we do the standalone episodes, I think it's fun for Misa to step away from the plot and just do something that is kind of wacky. And I look forward to more and more seasons with you guys, as we start to get into rehearsing this season and recording hopefully very soon. Misa,
And of
do you
course,
want
we're
to?
missing
Rehearsals start
Dave. I
next
just wanted to interrupt because we're missing Dave, and we haven't mentioned him too much, but Dave came in as the stage manager for the live show at my recommendation.
Yes.
And now he's with us, and
amazing.
And he just gets larger and larger and larger as the episodes go, right? It's kind of funny because I'm looking back and I'm going back to the first couple episodes, and I swear to God, we made Dave say everything twice. Everything got repeated, and it was a running gag with Dave. And I think we should do that with every part he plays. There's always a point where he has to repeat something. It could be like a running joke that.
Oh, for the computer?
Yeah. No, any character that he does, because we always know, because we ultimately know it's Dave or Dave.
Dave.
We know it's Dave. There needs to be one place where he repeats one or two words with every character that he does. He, of course, had Dave the bartender, and the elevator.
That's coming up. We haven't met the elevator yet.
So
we had we had
next-
elevator in the last season.
Yes, we did. Yes,
Yeah,
it was the computer, though.
It was
He was
computer,
with the
though.
computer.
Yeah, it was the computer
was-
elevator.
Yeah.
That's
We had
kind of-
elevator music. We didn't have the
Yeah.
elevator.
That's right, the elevator. Dave, and of course the one workman, and we featured Dave in our Christmas episode as Santa. As Santa Claus, and me doing a cheesy little
Yup.
yep there, boss. And the funny thing is, my voice was augmented for that, and JC did exactly the same thing without any augmentation.
JC,
master of all voices.
That was the funniest thing. I think that was my favorite thing of the entire last year was JC's.
I like the way we recorded it too, because everybody recorded their own thing. So I was recording everything at home by myself, reading the lines being everybody, each character. So I just send Misa everything.
What a
every
fun,
character.
yeah.
I wanted to ask you guys, what was your favorite thing? Like Marla, what was your favorite scene or moment, either in general or for yourself?
Well, I think my favorite scene was actually Sylvie.
Sylvie?
Well, because yeah, it was just it's always so much fun to do something that's so completely different.
Yeah. Yeah.
So personally, I'd have to say that scene was one of my favorites.
The screaming.
Yeah.
How many times did we scream?
So many. Sorry, I just threw a cat on the floor. Did you hear that land?
Holy crap!
Wow.
You made sure it landed on its feet.
They always land on their feet.
Well, let's go. Let's go down the road to for each person what their favorite moment of the season was. Yeah, I can see you, Lisa. So you might as well be our next person.
That's tough. In terms of, because there's a lot of little fun moments. In terms of fun moments, I I love doing all this stuff with Sylvie and the receptionist with Marlo, because we just when we finally got to the recording studio, we built up each little kind of nuance and how each line was going to be said and what we were thinking when we were saying it, and it was just so much fun to do, especially since we were standing and just we had all the energy of our bodies to do it. As funny, as embarrassing as it might have been, I loved the Halloween episode. It was a whole new way of seeing Phoenix, in a way that would almost make you uncomfortable if you got comfortable with Phoenix being kind of the logical character that she is, seeing all that emotion come out and all this kind of Jack Nicholson like craziness and obsession. In terms of meaningful moments, I would have to say I always kind of got teary when she had to say goodbye to her father again, when Phoenix had to say goodbye to Petal Syrup again. It wasn't even that. It wasn't the fact that she's just saying goodbye in general. She just felt like she didn't expect to see him, and suddenly there's the man that she admired and in her own hologram ship like way cared about and loved, and she had to say goodbye to him again. And the same with Ace, like again, like she's continuously having to say goodbye to people she cares about, even though in the end it doesn't happen. If with Petal Syrup, we don't know if she doesn't know if she will see him again, but these consistent moments of her just being torn away from what she cares about. So
Nice. Yeah, totally. Stephanie, what was your favorite moment of the season, or least favorite moment, as the case may be?
Well, I would first like to go on the record saying, Martin, that I am in fact using a microphone. So,
Oh, are you?
I am actually, yes, the snowball. Okay.
Oh, you know what? I saw that you put it in front of the camera a little earlier.
Okay.
My
I did.
mistake.
My favorite moment was definitely Petal Syrup's crew.
Oh, me too.
100%. And then my favorite moment recording was definitely everybody making the chicken noise.
all of us like bacawing into the microphone. It was a sea of chickens.
Oh, and we were trying to get Nishan to sneeze too. Remember, like we had him sneeze like 9 times to get the exact sneeze that we wanted.
It was the same achoo every time, and that was
yeah. That was fun. JC, what about you, buddy?
Well, it was a pretty physical recording. I love the process of recording. That's my favorite thing. The different characters were just wild. It's the performing and the actual recording that really is there for me. I love it because I'm also it's being there and feeding off the energy of everybody at the same time. And but yes, back in the live performance, my favorite moment was switching hats and becoming the difference between the crazy
Juggle Fritzer.
Jugel Fritzer and Pedal Serp. Just it was turn around, become that guy, turn around and become that guy. I love playing characters completely opposite of each other, like on top of like performing.
Yeah.
Looking for the different voices within minutes of performing one guy. Now I'm performing this other guy. It's kind of, I like that. That's
to do it. My probably for me, my favorite thing of the year is discovery. Discovery how this podcast, how we are able to do it remotely. I love that. I love the process. I love meeting with you guys every single week. I've talked about, there are days where, we have bad days and I'm like, oh man, I don't want to do this tonight. But you know what? I get onto this Zoom and I chat with you guys and it's like my crack cocaine. I laugh and I laugh. Like I said, a couple of weeks ago, there was a night that we had a Zoom meeting where I laughed so hard there were tears streaming down my face, and I had not laughed like that in a very, very long time. So, yeah, what's your favorite part, Marissa?
Well, it was Crewman 1 and 2 also, and Dee and Phoenix in the Space Shark, and when Ace and Phoenix were traveling back in time, trying to find the right time, the moment when for the planet, and Ace says, "What do you see? Nothing. Nothing. There's never nothing."
Oh
and
my
then
God.
and then they hear the big bang.
What was that?
What is that sound? Sounded like a bang. A bang? A big bang.
I love that they actually ended up. I love that you added in that they ended up at the very beginning of time.
They went to the beginning.
I want to add to my favorite part. By the way, it was anytime Milford did anything.
Yeah. No, for sure. For sure.
I'm recording this at home and I'm sitting there going, no!
I was so embarrassed doing the receptionist, having to sing when I was recording by myself. Like all my doors were shut and I had to sing different Christmas carols as the receptionist.
And then once the episode was done, she texted me and she goes, "Oh, so you used like 4 seconds. Thanks."
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, I just destroyed my voice that day. It's fine.
But we could hear it in the background, couldn't we? We could hear something. My
Yeah,
favorite
but
line
she
is
recorded like 15 minutes.
my favorite line
all of the 12 days of Christmas, and she only was like 10 seconds of it.
Yeah. I think my favorite line for the receptionist in that episode was "Hold my gum."
Hold my gum.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
All right. So yeah, we've got an exciting season ahead. Yeah, we do have some changes that are coming up. But we haven't got any confirmation on that yet. So no spoilers on that one.
Yes. So
I mean, we can stop recording and then.
So we want to thank everybody for listening. We're super excited about next season, protesting the future, and we're gonna start. We've got some teasers coming up, and we look forward to seeing you, hearing you, being with you, sharing our time with you.
Exactly, and thank you so much. And thank you, for you hearing us, and thank you so much for listening tonight, and to listen to all of our podcasts. We do really appreciate the support, and thank you so much. And hopefully we'll have you for the long run.
And if you like listening to this and want to support the show, please follow us and support us at patreon.com/Lisa Klasma.
It's actually / Ace Galaxy.
Oh,
If you
/ Lisa Kalasma.
yeah, / Lisa
it's the
Glasma.
Lisa Klasma Foundation.
If you like the episode, please support us at Patreon. That's patreon.com / Ace Galaxy.
/ Lisa.